When we think about transcendentalism, one of the people that we think of is Ralph Waldo Emerson. And we've talked a little bit about him, and we've talked a little bit about transcendentalism, but we're going to look at one of his poems called Each and All. The sum is greater than its parts. This expression gets to the heart of transcendentalism, and the heart of this poem we're going to look at called Each and All. So, Each and All in Emerson's poetry is considered part of the Romantic period, and the Romantics valued poetry because of its imaginative and evocative power. Romantic poems are often meditations or in-depth reflections on ordinary objects. So he could have written a poem about the broom, that kind of a thing. It didn't necessarily have to be some declaration of love. In the course of this meditation, the speaker arrives at some greater truth or insight. In this poem, Each and All, Emerson meditates on a series of objects from the natural world, and each of these objects presents to the speaker a similar message about beauty and the universe. So we're going to listen to and read Each and All, paying attention to the insight that the speaker of the poem does. Little thinks in the field yon red-cloaked clown of thee from the hilltop looking down. The heifer that lows in the upland farm, far heard, lows not thine ear to charm. The sexton tolling his bell at noon, deems not the great Napoleon, stops his horse, and lists with delight, whilst his files sleep around yon alpine height. Nor knowest thou what argument thy life to creep thy neighbour's creed has lent. All are needed by each one, nothing is fair or good alone. I thought the sparrow's note from heaven, singing at dawn on the alder bough. I brought him home in his nest at even. He sings the song, but it pleases not now. For I did not bring home the river and sky. He sang to my ear, they sang to my eye. The delicate shells lay on the shore, the bubbles of the latest wave, fresh pearls to their enamel gave. And the bellowing of the savage sea greeted their safe escape to me. I wiped away the weeds and foam, I fetched my sea-born treasures home, but the poor unsightly noisome things had left their beauty on the shore, with the sun and the sand and the wild uproar. The lover watched his graceful maid, as mid the merged train she stayed, nor knew her beauty's best attire was woven still by the snow-white choir. At last she came to his hermitage, like the bird from the woodlands to the cage. The gay enchantment was undone, a gentle wife, but fairy none. And then I said I covet truth, beauty is unripe, and childhood's cheat. I leave it behind with the games of youth, as I spoke beneath my feet. The ground pine curled its pretty wreath, running over club moss burrs. I inhaled the violet's breath, around me stood the oaks and firs. Pine cones and acorns lay on the ground, over me soared the eternal sky, full of light and of deity. Again I saw, again I heard, the rolling river, the morning bird. Beauty through my senses stole, I yielded myself to the perfect whole. So if you're thinking about this poem, he's talking about these things that exist in nature or exist as part of their own world. The sparrow in the nest, in the tree, in the sun, in the sky, but he brings it home thinking, oh, I'm going to hear this song and it's going to be just as sweet, but it's not, because he's taken it out of its natural habitat. The same thing for the seashells that lay on the shore. He says he brings them home, but the poor, unsightly, noisome things had left their beauty on the shore. So without the sun and the sand and the wild uproar, he didn't want any part of them. Same thing with the man watching the graceful maiden. She's dancing. She just seems almost fairy-like. But he brings her home and marries her, and it's what he thought she was. She wasn't. He took her out of that environment, and it changed. Everything changed. So he wants this truth, but you can't pull something from its natural environment and bring it into your own and think it's going to have the same effect. So remember, transcendentalist values are truth, beauty, and nature. And we know that we've talked about this, but just as a reminder, transcendentalism, it's also known as bright romanticism, but we call it transcendentalism. And we know that nature points to the spiritual and ideal world. The views man as innately good, but men can detect the divine in nature and themselves. It also values individualism and self-reliance, rejects conformity, rejects, the group mindset, downplays rules, authority, and tradition. So hopefully this will be helpful as you are reading through each and all.